many people get that joke anymore?
No one got it in the first place. Well, there was no anymore about it.
Well, it wasn't a 525, so it wasn't that bad.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You've never used a computer, have you?
Is this Canadian humor?
No.
Can we get Don Cherry here? Add some levity to the situation. There's a streaming guy. David, do you work in streaming? David?
Dave.
It's all right. He's running, though.
It's amazing how this has already devolved into a security justice podcast.
Security justice. Yikes. David, are you getting us started? Really?
Push the button.
Hello? We're good? Oh, so that was all caught. That's fantastic. We were live. All right.
Excellent.
So, for those of you that don't know, at Shmoocon, Jesus, I hate these mics. At Shmoocon every year for the closing thing, we don't do a keynote, and we don't do anything that anyone's overtly submitted as the actual talk that they submitted. We go through and we look through the talks, and we try to, Carson, that was lousy, man. I'm a pretty big target. Oh, shit. That was that shot from Get Shorty where he parted the guy's hair. So we go through and look at all the submissions, and we try to find things that have common threads or a lot of people submitted on, or something like that that we feel is interesting, and then we completely hijack what they submitted and say, hey, would you like to come give a talk because we're going to hijack your talk, and if you say no, you don't get to talk, which is basically how it went down. And last couple of years, we've taken 2 or 3 talks and glued them together. This time, we took this talk and basically railroaded it into a moderated panel, and the sheep, yeah, it's probably for the best. Yeah, sheep obstruction. But the thing was, I told...
Next year's Shmoocon t-shirt, sheep obstruction.
Anyway, this will get funny eventually. I told, what do you want to be called?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's on the...
Oh, did you use your name? Oh, James. So I told James, you never know. Like, I don't know if people want to be identified. So anyway, I tell James. I said, hey, you want to do this thing? He's like, yeah, sure, great, whatever. And then we get an email from Dave like a couple weeks later. He's like, so I guess we're not getting in. So do I get a ticket or what's the deal?
It's like, come on, like, hook a brother up. And he's like, dude, you're in the plenary. You're in the closing session. It's like, really?
Let's note here that Dave does not check his personal email.
Dave needs to also move his microphone closer to his face, but that's a separate. You got to pretend like you're a rock star. You got to like just make love to that thing, man. Wow.
I will not feed into that.
That was bitchin' loud. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to run this as a pseudo panel thing with lots of audience participation. Woohoo! Yeah, there's better be some redneck screams going on, guys. I'm turning this over to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to serve the role as
a lot of text to read.
The moderator and the guy who throws things at these guys, but you're welcome to intercede and whenever you feel like. I think intercede's a word. But for now, I'm turning it over to you.
The necessary disclaimer.
You just called us all assholes.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sorry, are you new to Shmoocon? Everybody knows who this guy is. This guy is Dave Marcus, Director of Advanced Research and Threat Intelligence from McAfee Labs. He likes guitars, powerlifting, hackerspaces, and hacking.
I do.
My name is James Ireland. Some of you might know me as Mercurial. I'm a consultant at Taos, an analyst at Secrosis, geek, hacker, social activist, author, speaker, and parent. There are rules.
So, this is the way this is going to work. Dissent is okay, attacks are not. Basically, this is going to be a civilized discussion. We're welcome to disagree, and even disagree with some passion. But we're going to do it all as gentlemen and gentlewomen, and not take it personally.
Canadian.
And Canadians. They're a different breed. We have limited time. You will see how limited the time is later. And I will have the shepherd's hook, at least virtually, and potentially realistically, if these guys keep rambling, we'll get them to shut the hell up. Everyone has ideas, that's great, but we will pick and choose and scatter around the room and choose people to participate. But if you're not trying to participate, I guess you are the fail. Is that where you're going for there? Yeah, excellent. So anyway, those are the rules. We feel free that we can break them at any time, so let's go.
So there's a real problem in the InfoSec industry right now. There's a huge imbalance. There's way too much focus on attack and not enough on defense. And somewhat unsurprisingly, there's a lot more defense to be done than there is offense to be done. And there are a lot of offenders.
Can you define what you mean by focus?
Okay, sure. We'll go back a slide.
Okay, no, I'm serious. I think it's important if you're going to define the problem, you ought to be specific because there's a lot of money in defense and maybe not that much money in offense. But so it would appear that the focus is on defense.
There's a lot of money in outdated solutions in defense.
Okay.
The focus at HackerCons is, ooh, I wrote a Metasploit something, jerk, 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 splooge.
Derp.
Sorry.
Wow.
And we're all real, and by the way, we're all real proud of you. We're all real proud of you. We really are.
Self-discovery is epic.
It is. It's epic.
Keep it in your shower.
It's true. It's true.
The reality is that there's a lot of fame in doing one little tiny thing and somehow being a hero for it. There's not a lot of fame in slogging through the shit day in, day out, and not making the news. And when you're a defender, the goal is to not make the news. When you're an offensive prick, the goal is to make the news.
So you've identified or alienated like a good third of the audience already on this slide. I'm impressed. Let's see what we can go for the other 2/3.
And it's not because the attackers are any better. Sorry, but I mean, that's great. Hey, wow, you've done something in Metasploit framework that we used to have to do by hand using Perl and C. Oh, you fucking rock star. It's because when it comes right down to it, there's only so much a clone trooper is going to do. I mean, we're defensive people. It's a job. We show up, we get paid, we don't get hacked, we save millions of people from the annoyance of having to change their credit card numbers. It's just defense. And the reality is that there's a shit ton of people who've been talking defense for a long time. We didn't originate the idea of sexy defense. We didn't originate the idea of doing information security right. We just, I'm sick and friggin' tired of hearing the shit and not seeing the action, so we co-opted it. And there's a raging fanboy moment coming, so you'll have to bear with me. In the past.
Yeah, you did. I forgot my slides. All right, so this is Hotspot DK. So to get to the question Eric asked, this microphone and I are going to have a carnal knowledge here shortly. So as security professionals, I'll get there. All right, thank you, brother. Hallelujah. We haven't learned a lot, and people have called me kind of a killjoy the last couple of days because every time I've been on stage, I've been pointing at the audience and being like, "It's all your fault."
We've learned the same things over and over, which is kind of learning a lot.
Yeah, you get to learn the same thing and fill up the queue. So here's the deal. We get paid to know security stuffs, right? You know, and ultimately, we should have a better knowledge of our environment and our equipment, as Ronnie talked about, you know, understanding what the vendor gear we're putting in, understand the applications running in our environments, that kind of thing. Ultimately, users are the ones kind of affected by IDSs. Like, is a transaction I just committed with a Bank of America legitimate, or have I been owned? You know, is my credit card down? You know, Bank of America can find out. It'll take you, you know, 6 months to discover it. But it would be nice if you found out in real time. It would be nice if the people in the NOC just got little pop-up windows that were binary ones and zeros. Secure, not secure. What's the state of the network? Bing, zero. Secure. What's the state of the network? Bing, zero. Insecure. What? Then you know your own.
You just cast that in stone.
Cast that, yes. Everything's secure. What we really need to be focusing on as an industry is a better understanding of the tools and our own enterprises and looking at the integrity of things. It's not good enough just to say, are there traces of an attack, but has an attack been successful? You know, that's the real rub. There's a lot of people focusing on forensics and looking at the kind of after the fact type of stuff. But we need to have a deeper understanding of what's going on in our environment. Brian Watring, who's a Shmoo who couldn't be here today, has been working for years on a tool called Osiris. You can go to hostintegritymonitoring.com and take a look at it. And it's basically, you know, think of it as tripwire on steroids. It's examining configurations and checksums and all kinds of things about the, Pablo's, go.
It's free. Just get it.
It's free, it's get it. And he actually just has a book that was published about how to do host integrity monitoring. And what's unfortunate is that there are not a lot of other tools out there that deal with that kind of thing, and I think we need to focus on that. I made a triangle. What? What?
You made a triangle in college?
Yeah, I made a triangle in college. It was glorious. This is my PowerPoint food. Beetle has arrows going back and forth and worms and all kinds of shit, and I have a triangle.
And they're both built
Bring
like
on the
bandits.
triangle.
What do you want from me, buddy?
Tell me
Better
about
slides.
wireless IDS.
Wireless IDS?
Yes.
Why wireless IDS?
Because you said they were good.
They are. The wireless IDS in the client, I think, is a reasonable thing. That gets back to this kind of thing. Good.
Don't you mean host IDS on wireless clients?
It's okay, Matt. It's almost over.
Apparently we need a keyboard
Do we have any more
IDS.
shit we can show instead?
Yeah. All right. I'll
Clearly
make
your
this short
IT
and sweet.
security needs includes a different user interface.
Okay. So.
Go play with this in the parking lot.
Yeah, go play with that. I'll just stick it down my pants with a 1-watt amp. Vegas was hot.
Can we get pictures before and after?
So anyway, here, sure, look, you can see it backwards over there. IDS and the normal user get along fine because that's who really needs to consume the information. What we really care about is how bad is shit, right? You know, users need to make rash tactical reactions. We need, in the operations world, need to make strategic reactions like, oh God, we got broken into, let's respond, incident response and things of that nature. Does that get down your path? All right, thank you. Further, I think you need, when you think about security in the data center, sorry about the rant, and if you were at Black Hat, I really apologize, but you really need to think about things in a structured fashion, and it turns out we need to spend as much time thinking about patch management, configuration management, as we do firewalls and software security and IDS.
Where do we buy the honeypot hats?
The honeypot hats? I'll make you one of the soaking wet towel and some electronic devices later. Dead man walking. Anyway, I don't really want to get into this triangle because it'll be controversial and more than I really want to do. And Beatle's standing behind me threatening to beat the shit on me. So
we're armed and
as a moment, I'm just going to do that to piss him off.
That was awesome, dude.
Awesome, whatever.
So let's just go back in time a little bit. This was, in fact, 7 years ago. In the sweaty tent in the parking lot of the Alexis Park. The pavement is 3 million degrees. There is air conditioning for like 3 seats in the place. I went to DEF CON 13 and I had a shitty time. I didn't talk to very many people, was not having a good time. I was transitioning from being an offensive person to a defensive person, and nobody was talking defense. Nobody was on my side, and I felt really fucking alone. And then Bruce Potter started talking. And so there's a fanboy moment, and I get to, well, you hijack my shit, I hijack your shit.
Fair enough. Thanks, man.
Here's the thing. 7 years ago, Potter's Pyramid. Anything changed? Nope. Are we any good at the bottom? Are we doing a good job of patch management and operational procedures? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, exactly.
There's a yes? Toby's even got a yes. This will be a well thought out yes, at least. What's your yes, Toby? They rock which? So, automatic patching, is that because the organizations got better at patch management or because it was shoved down their throat by the vendor? Because depends.
No, it doesn't. It's
Okay.
actually a binary. It's actually a binary answer.
Yeah, it's like
That's a binary answer, I think.
they got better because they had no choice.
Yeah.
So that's a story of, you know, we'll be generous and call it 24. I can hand you a list called the Fortune 1000, and we'll move on. So, you know, Batman's great. I'm Batman. And you know, when it really comes down to it, he's a bit of a vindictive dick. Superman's pretty awesome because he does shit even though he knows it's not going to work out well for him. And most defensive security people have this weird altruism, this weird desire to do more than the minimum. And it's kind of odd. They care about their job, and they care about the work they do, and they care about their constituents. And it starts to sound a lot like duty. Not like duty, like duty. And you know what? Commitment and capability, that's pretty sexy shit. You know, showing up and doing the job and actually caring about what you do, it's unusual and awesome. We're going to talk about 5 different things. Tools, information, people, making it sexy and sharing the sexy. 10 minutes per topic. Here's some stuff about tools. You got thousands of dollars in tools. You guys sell a lot of tools?
Sell a lot of tools.
Yeah. You got
a lot of
access.
tools,
You got access to open source tools that are like,
We don't have access to open source tools.
you don't.
No.
Oh, okay. Most of us do. That being everyone except you.
Yes, I think, you know, here's the big difference, right, is,
Move the microphone closer to your mouth so they can hear you.
here's the
There we
difference, I think,
Remember what,
is-
what Bruce from the past said? You have
What?
to fillet the microphone.
I'm not going to
I
fillet the
never
microphone.
said that.
Yeah, you did. We all watched it.
Oh, I did. That was a few years ago. That was.
I will not be filleting the microphone. I'm not Canadian.
Tools.
So, tools. Tools, you know, here's the thing, and I work for as defensive a slogging vendor as defensive slogging vendors who move slowly get to be, right? It's
Do
a
you
question
after
of,
that statement?
It's a question of innovation. And my comments are my own when I talk about my company, you know,
Fair enough.
disclaimers here. But, you know, we move at a different speed than offensive tools work at. And I think there's where the difference lies, right? Is there's always innovation going on the offensive side of the house. There's a new cool tool coming out, new ways to write slides, new ways to do evasions. But on the defensive side of the house, there really is not a lot of innovation, right? And I think that's the biggest problem that we have, is taking the stuff that the offensive guys are really, really good at, figuring out ways to evade AV, right? Who in here doesn't know how to evade AV, right? Right? Who in here has not jumped on the AV is dead bandwagon, right? But the problem we have is this, is help us fix it. You know, all the tools and the innovation you have at your disposal, all the ways you have of evading our technology, work with us and teach us how not to be evaded that way. Help us be innovated so our tools for defense are at least as good as the tools for offense. You know, that's kind of, I think, the difference between our points of view. The tools are cool, but we don't learn at the speed that you guys necessarily learn at.
So you got lots of tools. There's lots of capabilities you don't understand. I was sitting in an RFP meeting for, we're going to replace tool XYZ, and they're saying, but we need feature Z. It's like, well, that's nice. We have that feature. It's on page 634 of the manual. What do you mean you don't know how to use the product? And you can always use a tool in a more effective way. And so begins audience participation.
And so for the record, first, this next slide, I was actually most impressed because it's animated in PowerPoint, which was more remarkable than maybe even the content. So we have a guy over here. Todd's going to run around with microphones, and we're going to try to see how this goes. This way the online people can hear.
Here. Okay. So here's an interesting observation I have, is that a lot of times the tools people write come from their experience. In my limited experience, a lot of times in security, you skip the step where you have to be a defender before you start getting really good at writing tools. In other words, we don't have these days, in my limited knowledge, people who are sysadmins for 10 or 20 years and then write tools for people like me to use. And that may be part of the problem. So that's my observation from the defense side. Also, it is really cool to smack down somebody trying to hack your web server. Don't let anybody tell you different.
As long as you get to do it every day.
Yep.
I think that, you know, there's an interesting experience gap sometimes with security professionals, that you can learn the tenets that underlie the discipline, but without the experience of how it's applied in the data center and real enterprises on a daily basis, you don't understand what's going to work for a company and what's not going to work for a company. And we can become the BOFHs of the modern day by being abstinent, you know, security people and saying, no, 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 you can't do this because it's insecure. And the answer is like, oh, guess what? The business is going to do it, so go in the corner and cry, but, you know, it's not my problem. We're going to push forward. So another.
Is there someone in the back?
There's several in the back.
Cool.
We can't see anything.
Yeah, we
so-
can't see
Feel
anything.
free to come toward me too.
Come toward the light, or Todd.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is to be a bad defender, you have to be such a security generalist, right? But to be even a competent offender, you can be specific in your knowledge and stuff. But to be a bad defender, you have to be such a security generalist, and it's easy to find a chink in the armor. You know, you can focus on one area of code and be a successful offender, but to be able to defend your network against it, you have to be such a complete generalist.
In daily life, as a defender, you've got to be aware of everything from ZOS through commercial Unixes and mini systems to ancient crap. OS2 is still running out there in the field, to Windows, to Linux, to everything, plus network operating systems like iOS and the other iOS. And you know, it's an absolute crap ton of knowledge that you have to have at the bare minimum. Yep. And then you get somebody who comes along and says, haha, I am super, you know, rock star dude because I know a little bit about Android. And you're like, oh, God damn it.
And you
I've
guys are
forgotten.
headed right down the, you guys are headed right down the train of thought that I was thinking. As a defender, you're not paid to innovate. You're not, your job is to keep things going.
You're paid
Your
to
job
not
is
get
the
owned.
bottom line.
That's a good point. Yep.
You're paid to watch the blinky light.
Yep.
Well, but you need an enterprise level blinky light.
Yeah.
That Android thing, that
Is it-
super duper hack in Python that only runs on that guy's system.
You're paid to be a creative thinker. Exactly.
So to try to keep this on the tool track, we talked about this earlier. To build an offensive tool, you can use baling twine and duct tape, and all it has to do is work enough to get you through to the next stage of whatever attack you're trying to run. To have a defensive tool, it has to be enterprise grade. It has to be ready to be deployed. Yeah, I was going to say my phone's right there. Was it?
It might have been me.
Anyway,
My phone's Canadian.
my phone's Canadian.
Canadian.
Oh, it's Rogers. You have to have not just software that's enterprise ready from an availability perspective, but it has to be manageable.
Yep.
If it's not manageable, it's useless. And these are things that are complicated, they're hard to write, but they're a requirement.
This is cool. We got a lineup over there, and we got like 7 hands in the front row.
Okay. So there was some talk about how the people who are writing tools don't have the right skill set, don't have the experience in defense. It's actually kind of hard to get experience in defense unless you've already got experience in defense. Because let's face it, who's gonna put you in charge of defending their network unless you've already got that? And I think the skill gap, the sort of internship structure really isn't there with defense. Whereas with offense, anybody, baling wire and duct tape, you can put something together and you can say, haha, I did that, and then people will give you more money to attack.
I would say that that's a failure to reach out, because there's people like me who are screaming, saying, you know what, I've got cycles for mentors.
Yeah, it's all about you.
I would really like it if somebody would buy me a beer and sit down and listen with an open mind to the fact that there are ways to do things that are, frankly, a little bit on the batshit insane spectrum, but get the job done really eloquently and really, really fast. They're not the way a comp sci person would think about how the world works.
Dig deeper into the comment, though, right? Look at most cons. Most cons, do you know of any con that has a defense track, really? A built-out defend it track, right?
few.
You know?
Not,
You know what I mean?
but it's not that sexy. And it's been like, you saw today, in the con, like it's not historically a track that we have a lot of acceptable talks in.
Yeah.
Next, and then we're gonna have to come up to the front.
Hi.
I can just give you my mic.
Turn his mic off.
Okay.
Dave, so from the tools perspective, I agree. I think the tools are the first problem from that perspective. So any idiot can write a tool on the offense, any idiot can write a tool on the defense, regardless open source, regardless enterprise managed. But we're making them more and more dummy proof. So we're getting defenders that aren't capable, and we're getting offenders that aren't capable.
I don't know that we're writing dummy-proof tools. I think we're writing tools that we like to think are dummy-proof, but if you try to use any of these enterprise-grade tools, there might be the front part of it that's easy to use, but there's the nooks and crannies that even the engineers that get deployed on site can't figure out how to use appropriately.
That
there's some
feature that they were looking for in the RFP was for a product that is 7 years old, and it's in the friggin' manual. Like, what they did was they used CapEx money for training. They trained one person, and then that person left. And now nobody knows how to use it.
Or you're buying a feature based upon some news event, right? We're all waiting for the anti-lulsec anonymous appliance to get marketed, right? Or the new APT appliance, to get, right? Something stupid like that. Because that's kind of the solution you sell most people is the box. The box will take care of X.
Magic boxes.
And it'll blink at me and alert me when that is happening, that kind of thing.
We got 2 up front who haven't been heard, 3, 5, 7 lots.
Branson's gonna.
So I guess my concern here is there's two pieces. One, for tools,
It's a late microphone.
there you go. For tools, there are a plethora of attack tools. Oh, thank you.
There's a plethora.
Awesome.
Sorry, I was.
So being a tool when you're talking about tools.
There's a plethora of attack tools out there. I mean, realistically, there's a metric assload of them. For protection tools on the open source, we have our firewalls, we have our IDSs, but the attackers don't have, in many cases, they're either commercial, they're like governments or they're criminal agencies, and they have assloads of money to throw at it. And those are the guys that are going to be looking at the professional tools. But in general, that's not being at a government agency, that's not who we get pwned by. We get attacked by the people who have no money but have the buttload of tools. And the attack surface is so large. His point was very valid. The attack surface that they have is so large that not one person, not a band of people, not an entire subdivision of people can cover all that attack surface. So how do you rationalize that? How do you deal with that particular problem? I think the point that was made that I thought was fantastic is we need a protected track. That would be fantastic. Maybe not at this con, but at some con.
I said that.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
Gold star. And also, I have an imperial ass ton of defensive tools to go with your metric ass ton of offensive tools. Just we could share. Just want to make sure there was no currency or some conversion problem.
Just a question.
Oh, for his benefit. Oh, right. Okay. We use inches here.
Do we not, is it an issue that we don't have tools or that we don't use them properly, don't layer them? There are a lot of open source tools that I've seen that can be used for defense, whether it's tripwire or any number of things.
Agreed.
But what I find is that my work in penetration testing influences how I defend. I can't stop it all, so I'm looking to create a slog for the attacker to land in and push around long enough till he trips a wire and I can get him out. So my question would be, is it that we don't have tools or we don't use them correctly?
Both.
Layer them.
I tend to always think it's a question of you don't necessarily use the stuff that you have correctly. There's so much stuff within most tool sets that most people just don't know aware of it. So I think there's a lot in what you're saying that's you're not necessarily using it correctly, or you're not taking the output that it's giving you as an input for something else. That's where I think the disconnect is sometimes. You do your red teaming or you do your heavy pen test, and how does it really become the input for remediation and stuff like that? I think that's where some of the disconnect is. And then helping the rest of us out, right, is the other thing, is everybody who's learning all of these different things for tools, it should bubble out to the greater community, I think. There needs to be better sharing among the defensive side, and we missed that part of the boat completely, I think.
Last one.
Last one. I feel like when we talk about the defense track, it's like the defense thing doesn't really change. It's Potter's Pyramid. It's still there. It hasn't really evolved because
and we still suck at it.
We still suck at it. We have problems where the issue is.
He threw the ball before the end, and now you let it land.
The issue is basic, things like base 64 encryption. And when you look at that, from the perspective of defending things, the tool involvement's very slow. We get things once every 5 years. We come with SE Linux, and it's a real pain to use. We come up with App Armor, and it's a little better. We don't have a consistent thing for deploying it. We start coming up with Puppet. You start combining the tools, you kind of get there where you say, all right, well, I'm going to define Apache, I'm going to open the port, I'm going to do this, and you start doing it all in one place. But it's still configuration management. It's still the same kind of tools that we've had forever, and most people just don't apply them. So how do you teach the same lesson that's there for 10 years
What it comes down to really is...
Your answer is actually censored, though.
Yes, because we're on the next topic.
Yeah, we're on the next topic. The question is, whoever has the token, it's like the shot. You take the shot, and you win it for the tip-in, but you can't touch it.
This is a sports metaphor?
Yeah.
With security people.
Yeah. Jesus. With a Canadian security person. Okay, so it's like in hockey, when I throw the punch...
Oh, snap.
Anyway.
So we
Canadian hockey.
We collect a lot of information. You can gain a lot of power from it if you've got any ability to use it at all. And you need to understand the information you've got, because I'll tell you something, you got a lot. You have a lot of information and you're never looking at it. This is one of those pen tester gold mines. I can throw chaff at you in such a way that you will never find the wheat in the middle of it.
That's right.
And the reality is you've got a lot of noise. You need to learn how to filter it. You need to learn how to visualize. You need to do a good job, because mostly you're just doing enough to not get fired. Y'all work at Initech, right? And the difference between doing the job and doing a good job is like 5%, and the effectiveness difference is like force multiplier orders of magnitude. And so it begins.
All right, I was going to throw rocks at that last one, but you started the timer. So, go to the new. Oh, damn it. No, it's
Actually, I think it's less about the amount of information you have than applying that information to what you got. I think the comment around attack surface gets to it. We complain constantly the attack surface is so large. well, change it. I mean, we have so much data that we can realign the attack surface and turn to force the attackers to change what they're doing. We talk about the attackers, yes, they're smart, but they don't change 90 degrees very well. Some of them do. There are some really smart people out there. But the guys who know how to push buttons on Metasploit don't do that very well. So once they're good at something, we need to turn, and we don't.
I would challenge your statement that attackers don't turn 90 degrees faster than most, or that they're slower than enterprises. Attackers are freaking little rowboats compared to the battleships that are enterprises, and if the rowboat has a bomb in it, it's a bad day. That was a terrible analogy because I was just trying to think of something else. But honestly, the enterprise, reducing the attack surface in a large enterprise is a fantastically complicated proposition from a technology perspective, let alone from a business perspective, where you start going to make the case, hey, we have this application that works perfectly well that people use, but what we want to do is port the whole damn thing over to this web server so that we can get rid of this other server, whatever. It's going to cost $2 million, and from the user's perspective, there's no gain, and operationally, we still have to maintain it, but it's more secure. It's a system that we haven't seen attacked or we haven't realized the threat from, but we're worried about it. Can I have $2 million, please?
But Bruce, you're saying that defense...
I got Toby to clap. That's a good one.
Defense isn't easy.
Sure.
Gold star.
And it's the users. I mean, that's a huge part of the attack surface is the social engineering aspect.
Shoot the users. So I'm sorry.
Bullshit, lame excuse. We build complicated crap that requires stupid work to comprehend, and we think it's a problem. Human beings are lazy. Lazy, lazy, lazy. That's why we have flush toilets. Nobody wants to shovel shit. And the reality is that if we, as information security professionals, would spend even 2 minutes doing a better job, do the work today so that we can save the work forever, shit, take advantage of the lazy people. Don't. Me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I want to see him go all Luddite. Like, I don't have a
I live
toilet
in
anymore, 'cause that
Canada.
would
We
make the
have
world
a
more
piece
secure.
of plywood with a hole in it.
Oh, wow.
See, they'll say that to you. They'd never say that to me.
Yeah. Look at the guns on that one.
Hey.
So, just a quick, Carson's got the microphone, so now I'm going to be a dick.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I think that users are going to be idiots, and you can't expect user education to get rid of the weakest link problem.
Yeah,
even
but it's not an educational problem.
it's not anything. You can't train users. Everything that users do, and users here are the end users or the security
training
administrators,
problem.
the system operators. You can't give them sharp, pointy things to play with because they'll fucking cut themselves. And as software engineers, the people building the tools, and not just security tools, but every damn tool in the damn enterprise needs to be aware that when you give people the sharp, pointy edges, they are going to hurt themselves. So you have to design systems that can't be used incorrectly, and no one does that because
Well, and that kind of
it's too
goes back
fucking
to the statement before. And, attackers are only as agile as they have to be sometimes. And 9 times out of 10, brothers know that cross-site scripting and SQL injection is going to work if you got a forward-facing web server every single fucking time. All right? So they only have to be as agile as they have to be. And no matter how much you squish it down, like Toby accidentally made a really good point about that, is that, no matter how good of a job, it's still what they have to do business. And to do business, you're open to cross-site scripting, SQL, and probably a handful of things every single day. But that, going to your point though, is that means you can focus your monitoring and your responses and stuff on that. It's harder to do defense than it is to do offense. End of story. And you got to be smarter and cooler to to do defense.
So what people were just saying kind of leads into the point I wanted to make is that we've had tools that can do a superb job at massaging a large amounts of all this data you're talking about that we're collecting. We've had them for over 10 years.
Yep.
Nobody knows how to use them right. Yep. No one, and even if they do, they don't have the time to. And as I see it, that's probably the biggest issue. People are like, I'm going to go spend $20 million on this awesome product, and I'm going to plug it in, I'm going to walk away.
Yep.
Happens all the time.
Blinky lights and shiny things fix security problems. I buy new things every 3 years to solve my problems.
Carson
Yeah,
has
but
a
if you
good
want- and
radio
really,
voice.
if you want to find the gold, you got to spend the time mining the data and putting the dots together. You know, and again, that goes back to being the generalist over the specialist, right? With,
No.
with experience and everything
No,
else.
no. So
Yes.
you don't spend the time mining no. You spend your time building a goddamn better mining system so no one has to mine it. That's the problem. When you hand an analyst a
know
big
about that.
pile of data and say, here's this interface, go swimming around in it, you have to have smart people to look at it. But if you can commoditize that and make it something that's more automated so it doesn't require all the mining activity.
All the automation only makes the big 75% of stuff that gets automated a bigger piece of the pie. It still leaves the 25% that's going to require the new person to look at it.
And it's still going to require the generalist who knows how to muck around in the data to find the things that have escaped the automated systems as well.
But to Carson's point, we have systems that can ingest data to huge scale and make the mining 100 times easier than it is right now.
Based upon the knowledge of the generalist who created it in the first place.
That's fine, but that's what I'm saying. The focus needs to be on that. You can't just expect people, like, the dumbest thing I hear is, like, have your sysadmins go look at log files. Really? Go have your sysadmins dig through the dumpster and look for lunch, okay? Like, what the fuck? There's no purpose to it. No one wants to do it. No one's gonna do it, and there's no value to it. So stop saying, just go look at your log files. Like, that's not the point. Build better systems and make them more usable by the people trying to find the bad guys.
I got to say, I agree with you on that,
Okay.
and that's a good point.
But-
you're still going to have, God, you knew it was coming, amazing.
Yeah. Well, you sound like
But-
my mom.
Honey, but you're still but you're still going to have, you know, the data that's going to escape because AV bypass we were talking about before. You're going to start finding people that are going to do log file bypass or log file filter bypass or whatever. You still got to have the ability to muck around and to muck around in the raw data to get to the bits and pieces.
You have to have people who know what hinky is. Like, I look at this set of data and it's like, something not quite right there, something hinky going on. And you don't get that with training. All you get that with is experience. And you know what? You can't have people who've got 17 or 18 years in InfoSec doing log review because, frankly, none of us want to. It's boring shit. We've done it before, and we're expensive.
For the Canadian to English dictionary, I think hinky means anomalous.
Oh, no, it's bullshit. Okay.
So, hey, yes.
No, not your turn.
I have a microphone.
Jack's got,
I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Jack.
PCI. No, sorry. No, not to go all new school, but part of the problem with information is that we have too much information. We don't know what to pick out because we won't tell each other what the fuck is sodomizing our particular environment. And so you have to wait until you experience the burning pain behind you and to know where to go.
Again, with the T-shirts.
The man's
next
a
year.
poet.
Shmoocon, the burning pain behind you.
Was that too much? Sorry. If you're on the defensive side, you know what I'm talking about. Sure. And it's, you know, I mean, it's,
So,
it's like, wow, I haven't felt it, used that lubricant before. So we need to share, and I realize that we can't, you know, just open the company's kimono or whatever the hell and share all our secrets.
Keep where that going. It's Jesus.
Go with that.
I don't know if you intended it to be that funny, but my God, man, that was awesome.
So I want to sort of expound upon what Mr. Daniels back there just said. We had quite a few conferences where it was suggested, you know, the Ops4 conversation being one of them. Pen testers need to train security people need to train pen testers. It needs to be an arm race in which both sides are getting stronger, better, faster. What do you think?
I support that completely. I think there's a lot to be said for having your ops guys train your defense guys and your blue team guys training your red team guys. I think you're absolutely right about that. There's agility and innovation on one side more than there is on the other side. You know, again, if you know 100 different ways to evade AV, tell us so we can make it better so that network can be more protected, so we can move on and actually start protecting people. I'm 100% for that.
Get the ball in the air now.
Yep.
I'm going to bridge a couple topics. This is Esteban. Hey, guys.
Hey.
So that video that you showed where Bruce was talking about information needing to be going back to the users, I think there's a key there that we might want to focus on in terms of shifting the way that we look at information and the way that we look at defending not our network, but defending our business. right? Or defending our service or defending whatever it is that we actually care about. Because I actually don't care about the network. I used to be a network guy. But anybody can be in my network. I don't give a shit. As long as they're not actually attacking the thing that I really care about, right? The business or the service or the API or the app. So maybe we should focus on leveraging some of the users, the application developers, and creating consumable ways of allowing them to tell us when something kinky is going on. And
Hinky with
leveraging-
hinky, not kinky.
Oh, and